Well, it looks like we'll be getting the new sequel to the Scream franchise a whole lot sooner than we think. Let's talk about that right now. Hello everybody and welcome back to Joker's Movie Network. I'm your host Joker, and today we've got news that has shocked only me. I'm the only one that was caught off guard by this because apparently everyone else knew but myself, and that is that the new film just simply titled Scream is going to be coming out a lot sooner than I thought. We knew that this supposed Scream 5 had been in the works for quite a while now, finally getting, the writers and a director on board to go through with the film, and it was just taking a while for everything to take off, especially now during COVID. So we had no idea when this movie was going to start production until early this morning around 4 a.m. when I was scrolling through Twitter to see that Kevin Williamson went and posted yesterday morning that production is done. Which was a shock to me because the last update that I really saw from the movie was that David Arquette said yes to coming back on board, and Neve Campbell was saying that if she liked the script to see where the movie was going, she would possibly be on board. And now the film is done. Production is done and they're about to start post-production. I'm mind blown by the fact that I knew none of this. But from posts that we saw on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, there's a long Twitter chain from Kevin Williamson that reads, "That's a wrap on Scream," which I'm excited to announce is the official title of the next film. Nearly 25 years ago, when I wrote Scream and Wes Craven brought it to life, I could not have imagined the lasting impact it would have on you, the fans. I'm excited for you to return to Woodsboro and get really scared again. I believe Wes would have been so proud of the film that Matt and Tyler are making. I'm thrilled to be reunited with Neve, Courtney, David, and Marley, and to be working alongside a new filmmaking team. An incredible cast of newcomers that have come together to continue Wes's legacy with the upcoming relaunch of the franchise that I hold so dear to my heart. See you in theaters January 2022. And reading that even gave more details to me that I had no idea because I had heard nothing from Courtney Cox coming to reprise her role as Gale Weathers. But now we have Courtney Cox coming back as Gale, Neve Campbell as Sidney Prescott, of course, David Arquette as Officer Dewey, and Marley Shelton coming back to play Deputy Judy Hicks from Scream 4. I had no idea how this movie was supposed to be playing out. Obviously, we heard a lot of talk about it being a hard reboot of the franchise or a supposed spiritual sequel in a way. Now it looks like it's just going to be an actual continuation of the story, so they're keeping Deputy Judy Hicks involved as well, which I think is really cool. And it leaves me with more questions, like Kirby. Is Kirby still alive? The Scream fanbase needs to know this. And another thing that I thought was interesting was the January 2022 release date, because I thought, that's very far away. Why are they putting so much time out for this movie when that's 2 years away? And then, naturally, I forget, we've been in a pandemic all year, and we were in the month of March for 6 months, and now it's almost December. So really, January 2022 is truly only a year away, considering we're about to roll into 2021. So giving them a year for post-production and reshoots and any edits they have to make, that seems reasonable, and I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they maybe back it up a little bit from January 2022 to December 2021. And I figured it would just be cooler to keep it with the original Scream release dates, which I know the original Scream came out December 20th of 1996. But if it's still January 14th as what's projected, I'm not going to be mad. It's a year away, and I'm going to be first in line to see this movie, front row center, ready to be freaked out. But along with this confirmation that production is done, we also have some new photos to look at, and there's a couple things I want to tear down and see what I can get out of this. I'm only going to be sticking with the photos. I'm not going to be looking through any of the cast, because the last time I did that when Scream 4 came out, I figured out the entire plot like that, and I'm not trying to do that again, because I don't want to give away who the killer might be just by looking through the cast list and going, yeah, that guy's the killer. Because I did it in Scream 4, and it did kind of ruin it for me, because I was like, yep, saw that one coming. So the first one I want to look at is obviously the title poster image that I got. Originally, I got this separately from a friend of mine the other morning. He sent it to me on Twitter. I just saw this image. I was like, oh, awesome. This is the official title for the next Scream movie. That's sweet. Had no idea that this picture came out with Kevin Williamson announcing that the film was done with the production. So that's where most of the surprise is coming from. But obviously, it's Scream 5. It's the 5th installment, but it's just called Scream. But here's what I'm looking at. So obviously, you got the ghost face in the background. Iconic. You got the name there. Originally, the original concept, at least fan-wise, for Scream 5 was that the S in Scream was going to change to a 5. Very much so like the A changed to a 4 for Scream 4. And then there's also like the fan-mades. They turned the E to a 3 for Scream 3 and so on and so forth. But for this, it's just Scream. Now, originally I thought that the M was kind of trying to play a trick on me, because if you look at it, obviously you've got the protruding middle part of the M, which is just part of the Scream font. It's supposed to look like a knife. It looks more pronounced than it has in previous titles, because I thought this was just a change for this, but if you go back to the original poster for Scream, it's there as well. But I guess because of the way that it's 3D art and they have a large stroke behind it, it does kind of look like that middle V section is supposed to be like the Roman numeral 5, giving us Scream 5. I don't know if that's what was intended, but if that was the case, it was just like a little like Easter egg hunt there. Very well done. And I think this looks way better than putting a 5 in front of Scream. So instead of saying Scream 5, it would say 5 Cream. We don't need something weird like that. Next up, we have a very fun one. We have Kevin Williamson with Ghostface behind him. And the first thing I noticed was the costume. The costume design changes in every movie, even if you don't really notice it. A lot of the changes do come in the mask, which are very subtle changes as far as the color, the tint, the shape. Even if you go back and watch Scream 1, they originally did not have the rights to use the actual mask in the movie, so they tried to make a replica of it. So if you watch from scene to scene, the mask changes so many times, because at some points, the mask that they made, which you see in specific scenes, and I'll have it up on the screen right here, it just looks really odd. And there are a lot of scenes where Wes Craven just went in and put the actual mask in there and said they won't know, just use that. So there's a lot of discrepancies in the movie, especially toward the end of the film. The end of the film is more of the actual Fantastic Faces Ghostface mask, and more of the beginning of the movie is really just the mask they made instead of it. But another thing that's a big change is the actual cloaking costume itself, because you may not realize it, but there are a lot of differences between Screams 1 through 4 as far as how the costume was made. I'm not going to go into a lot of those details. There are YouTube videos for that with people that understand it a lot more than I do, but there's just looking at this, there's a couple things I noticed. The first one mainly being that the costume looks like it's made out of a very much thicker material this time around. Normally it does look like it's just made out of a very thin fabric like a lot of the costumes are. You know, you go to Walmart, you can buy the whole costume. It's very thin. It's something you're supposed to wear over clothing, because if you just wear that, you'll freeze to death on Halloween. But this one looks like it's very thick, almost like it's made out of a hoodie material almost. And another thing that I find interesting is that while he's holding up the knife, you can clearly see down his arm. That's a big deal, because in the original Scream costumes throughout all of the movies, he has, most of the time, the Ghostface costume has a lot of streamers hanging down from the forearm here. And it's either a long triangle with a bunch of cuts in it, or it's just long independent streamers. They're different in every movie, and it's just interesting to see that now it doesn't look like he has that. It looks like there's more to the body, so it's not like tightly formed to him. It looks like it flows more to make him seem like more of a ghost. And there are some tears you can kind of see. If you look right under his arm right here, you can see a little bit of a tear in there. So I'm wondering if that's just something from the movie, or if it's really just supposed to look like a tore up costume. So it's really cool to see. I also think it's really creepy that at the angle he's looking at with the stage lights, you can see the eyes of the actor that's playing Ghostface underneath it. And I think that's just kind of creepy, because even in this shot, he's looking up straight through the lenses. He looks like a serial killer. And just from looking at the mask itself, I'm sure there are some subtle changes that they make, because there's always weird alterations to the mask. If I hold up my one from Scream 4 here, I'm not seeing much of a difference. Maybe there's a difference in the color. Maybe the eyes are more protruding up at the top or around the angles here where the eyelids are. Nose piece looks the same. It's very subtle. I can find something and throw it up on the screen to show the differences between Screams 1 through 4. The masks really vary in color a lot and material, so some of them look very flimsy. This one is obviously made out of a stronger latex rubber material, so it doesn't bend as well as other masks do, but it's just cool things to look at. The final picture we got here, which is the one that shocked me, was seeing Courtney Cox's Kevin Williamson taking a selfie with Neve Campbell and Courtney Cox. One, Neve Campbell is just ageless. I don't know what happened. She got out of her 20s and just stayed there, so good on her. Same thing with Courtney Cox, and her hair looks, miles better than it ever will from Scream 3. We all remember that nightmare. And while this is a great picture, it doesn't really tell me much besides the fact that Neve Campbell's leather jacket is on point. But right behind them, I noticed something fun, and that is I'm assuming one of the actors in the movie, wearing a Woodsboro High School Letterman jacket. So obviously, we're still in Woodsboro, if you didn't get that from Kevin Williamson saying we're back in Woodsboro now. But it does lead me to wonder, is this somebody's kid? Did Dewey and Gail have a kid? Does Neve have a kid? Possibly. Who knows? Or is it just someone from the high school area that's, involved with the new story? Because obviously we have new characters now. Woodsboro High is a big deal. We're obviously going to have some sort of characters like we did in Scream 4 with a new cast of characters from Woodsboro High. So that obviously could be something, but it's a potential that this could be somebody's kid, or it could just be someone in relation to the story. I don't know if it's going to be something more like the cousin aspect that we saw with Jill from Scream 4, but it is just cool to see these Easter eggs and see what we're going to be looking at when this movie comes out. But if I had to put money on it, I'd like to bet money on it that it's somebody's kid, but I don't know how many years have passed between Scream 4 and Scream 5. Potentially the about 10-year gap that we had between the actual release of the movies, the same thing that happened with Scream 3 and Scream 4. Only time will tell at this point because there's nothing. We don't have a trailer, we don't have anything. We only have these official images as of right now. But overall, I'm super stoked with what I'm seeing. I'm happy that Kevin Williamson is back and wrote this and that we're seeing these awesome images that are getting me really hyped up for the movie. But what do you guys think? Do you like these images? Do you like that we're getting a Scream 5? Do you like that the title has just been changed to Scream? Very much like the Halloween 2018 reboot. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I want to talk about it. But until I get any more information revolving around Scream, Scream 5, whatever we're going to be calling this movie, that is going to be it for this video, guys. Remember, if you like what you saw, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know in the comments down below if you want to see more movie news videos or if you'd like to see anything else. But until then, and as always, I will see you guys next time.